The first time the bell rang, Mara Vale was 3 miles from the nearest building. The sound came from beneath her tires. It was not loud. It did not need to be. One low brass note moved through the floorboards of her truck, climbed the steering column, and settled behind her ribs. Mara stopped in the middle of bitter glass playa and switched off the engine. Moonlight lay over the salt in a single white sheet. The service road behind her was a pale seam, running back toward the highway. Ahead, Relay 9 stood beneath its short radio mast, no larger than a matchbox against the black mountains. Nothing moved. Then the salt beneath the truck gave a soft mineral sigh. The bell rang again. This time, underneath the fading note, Mara heard the beginning of a word. Ma. Her own name, almost completed. 6 hours earlier, Mara had believed her father was dead. Not legally. The county had never found a body, and Jonah Vale's old utility truck had never been recovered. The official word was missing, which had once felt like an open door and later felt like a room no one was willing to enter. He had disappeared 19 years ago on the Bitterglass service route. Mara was 22 then. She was 41 now, and she had spent most of those years driving at night. She carried documents between county offices, delivered replacement parts to remote weather stations, and brought medicine to clinics too small for regular freight. She liked roads after dark. They asked for attention, but not conversation. They had destinations, which was more than she could say for most people. At 4 that afternoon, the parcel clerk in Juniper Wells called her to the back counter. "This came in the dead letter crate," Mrs. Holt said. The package was wrapped in brown paper, gone soft at the corners. Cotton string crossed it twice. Its postmark read June 19th, 2007. The night Jonah disappeared, the address was written in his narrow block letters. Jonah Vale Bitterglass, Relay 9 hold for night, courier. Below that, in different ink, someone had added, "Return to sender if the bell is silent." It was behind an old sorting cabinet, Mrs. Holt said. "They pulled the wall out this morning. I thought you should decide what to do with it." Mara turned the package over. The paper smelled faintly of dust and machine oil. "Who sent it?" Mrs. Holt pointed to the upper corner. There was no name, only a small drawing of a bell without a clapper. Mara should have taken the package home. She should have opened it beneath an ordinary lamp, with coffee on the table and the highway safely beyond her window. Instead, she remembered the maintenance notice clipped to that night's route. Relay 9 was being decommissioned at dawn. Her assignment was to collect its paper log, photograph the instrument panel, and lock the steel shutters before the survey crew arrived. One final visit to the place where Jonah Vale had vanished. She signed for the package. Inside was a brass bell clapper, dark with age and heavy as a small hammer. A threaded pin protruded from its top. The metal was scored around the widest point, as though it had struck the same surface thousands of times. There was also a folded service map and a note. The map showed the Bitterglass Basin, the highway, and the thin graded road to Relay 9. Jonah had drawn a circle around a place 2 miles south of the relay, where no road or structure appeared. The note contained only 2 lines. "Mara, if this reaches you, wait for the second bell. When the lake answers, do not let it finish your name." She read the words 3 times. Then she placed the clapper in the truck's metal cup holder, where it knocked softly against the side each time the road turned. Bitterglass had not been a lake within living memory. The old maps called it Lake Cordero, a shallow body of mineral water that appeared after wet winters and vanished by midsummer. A settlement had stood on its western edge until 1941, when 3 days of rain sent water through the basin faster than the spill channels could carry it away. No one in Juniper Wells agreed on what happened next. Some said the residents left before the flood. Some said the government bought the land and removed the buildings. Others insisted there had never been a town there at all, only a temporary camp exaggerated by lonely people. By the time Mara was born, the basin was known only as Bitterglass Playa. Wind polished the salt crust smooth in some places and broke it into white scales in others. Survey crews used the Northern Road. Meteorologists used Relay 9. And every 19 years, according to the oldest drivers, somebody heard a bell below the ground. Mara had heard that story as a child. Jonah had dismissed it with the patient smile adults use when a lie is harmless. Sound carries strangely over flat country, he told her. A truck door slams 10 miles away and your mind builds a church around it. But he had stopped smiling when she asked why the church was underground. Now, alone on the playa, Mara waited for the second bell to fade. The note had told her to wait for it. It had not said what to do afterward. She picked up the brass clapper. It was warm. The truck's headlights dimmed. Far ahead, the copper lamp over Relay 9's door flickered to life, though the station had been disconnected from commercial power for 12 years. Mara started the engine. The service road had always run straight to the relay. Tonight it bent south. There was no intersection and no visible tire track. The pale road simply curved across the basin toward the circle Jonah had drawn on the map. Mara kept the truck pointed at Relay 9. For several seconds, the road and the truck disagreed. Her wheels remained straight. The mountains stayed fixed in the windshield, but the line of compacted salt slid quietly to the left, as though something beneath the playa were pulling a ribbon from under her. Then it snapped back into place. In the side mirror, Mara saw warm rectangles behind her. Windows. Dozens of them glowed beneath the salt, arranged along streets visible only by their reflections. A town turned upside down in black water. Porch lights. A hotel sign without letters. The narrow bright windows of a depot. She looked over her shoulder. There was nothing behind the truck but moonlit white. In the mirror, the town remained. The bell rang a third time. Mara accelerated. The door to Relay 9 was unlocked. Inside, the station looked exactly as it had in photographs from Jonah's old maintenance binder. A concrete room, an oak desk, a wall map, a black field telephone, and a bank of weather instruments with small square windows. Dust covered everything except the telephone and the ledger. The book lay open beneath the copper desk lamp. Its pages were ruled into 3 columns: date, name, and answer. The earliest entries began in 1941. Most answers were short. Turned back. Waited for dawn. Did not hear. Some names had no answer beside them. Mara turned the pages carefully. The handwriting changed every few years. Ink became pencil, then ballpoint pen. Dates advanced in clusters separated by long blank stretches. 1969, 1988, 2007. On the final written page, she found Jonah's name. Jonah Elias Vale. The answer beside it read, heard her name. Answered first. Below that was another entry. The date was tonight. The name began with M. The remaining letters were appearing one at a time, pressed into the paper by an invisible pen. M.A.R. Mara closed the ledger. The field telephone rang. She stared at it until the second ring. Then she lifted the receiver. At first, she heard only open line static and a faint rhythm like water touching wooden steps. Then Jonah said, "You waited for the second bell." His voice was older than she remembered, and exactly the same. Mara gripped the receiver so tightly the old scar across her thumb turned white. "Where are you?" "At the station. I'm at the station." "I know." Every weather instrument on the wall clicked at once. The black glass of the rain gauge brightened. Jonah appeared in its reflection. He stood behind Mara, wearing his grey work shirt and the brass watch he had worn every day of her childhood. His hair was silver now. His face looked tired, but not injured, not ghostly, not dead. Mara turned. The room behind her was empty. In the glass, Jonah remained. "You left," she said. "Yes." "You let us think. I know what I let you think." The bells sounded beneath the station. Dust trembled from the ceiling. Mara heard the next letter of her name whispered through the telephone wire. "A." "Then explain it." Jonah looked toward the wall map. The town used that bell for flood warnings. The bell tower went under in 1941, but the line from the relay never broke. Every 19 years, when the moon and the old water table meet just right, the lake carries sound again. There is no lake. Not where we stand. In the gauge reflection, warm windows spread behind Jonah. The impossible town was there with him, upright and shining along dark streets. "The bell calls the next keeper," he said. "One name. One person to stay at the relay and warn anyone who crosses before dawn. If no one answers, the road bends south. People follow the lights. By morning, the road is straight again." Mara thought of the old entries with no answer. What happened to them? "I don't know. The ledger only records what the station hears." "Why my name?" Jonah lowered his eyes. "Because you heard the bell when you were 3. The memory returned without warning. Jonah carrying her across a flooded ditch, her small hands around his neck, a brass note vibrating through brown rainwater. She had always believed it was thunder. "The keeper then was dying," Jonah said. "He wrote your name in the ledger, but the water dropped before the bell could finish it. 19 years later, it began again. I heard it on my route." "So you answered first." "I gave it my full name before it could complete yours." Mara looked at the empty bell frame mounted above the desk. 2 brass arms weighted around a dark circular space. There was no bell visible, only the frame and a threaded pin, the exact size of the clapper, in her pocket. "Why send this to yourself?" she asked. "The keeper cannot send anything beyond the basin, but the station can return undelivered equipment. I addressed it to the one person I knew would eventually take my route." "You knew I would become a courier?" Jonah almost smiled. "You were always leaving. I hoped one day leaving would bring you back." Outside, the town beneath the salt grew brighter. Mara could hear doors opening below the playa, not crashing or splintering. Ordinary doors opening for the evening. The invisible pen pressed another letter into the closed ledger. Mara's name was one letter from complete. "If I leave now," she asked, "keep west. Do not look into the mirrors. Reach the highway before the bell rings twice more. And you, I remain until somebody answers." "Another 19 years. Jonah did not reply. Mara understood. Not another 19 years, as many 19 years as it took. She thought of all the nights she had driven because roads never asked for conversation. All the towns she entered only long enough to hand something over. All the destinations she had mistaken for a life. Then she thought of Jonah standing in a reflected station, keeping one promise in the cruelest shape a promise could take. "If I answer," she said, "do I disappear? No. Do I die? No. Can I leave the relay? After dawn, until the next calling, you can go anywhere. Then why didn't you come home?" Jonah looked down at the brass watch on his wrist. Because the keeper can leave the station, but the person who answered for someone else cannot speak to them again until they choose the road freely. If I had come to you, the bell would have followed. Mara took the clapper from her pocket. "You could have written. I wrote thousands of times." On the desk, beneath the ledger, she found a stack of envelopes tied with cotton string. Everyone was addressed to her. None had a stamp. Mara did not open them. Not yet. The bell began her name again. Ma. Mara fitted the brass clapper into the empty frame. The threaded pin turned easily, as if someone had oiled it that morning. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then a bell became visible around it, not appearing all at once, but gathering from reflection. A curved edge of brass in the rain gauge, a dark mouth in the window glass, a warm rim in the face of the telephone dial. Every reflective surface held a different piece of the same bell. Mara placed one hand on the ledger. "My name is Mara Elise Vale," she said. The invisible pen stopped. "I hear the warning." She pulled the clapper once. The note moved out across bitter glass plier. In the windows beneath the salt, lights went dark one by one. The depot, the hotel, the narrow houses along streets that had not existed for 85 years. The service road straightened. The bell's last vibration passed through the station walls and into the mountains. In the rain gauge, Jonah stood beneath a paling sky. "Does this mean I'm the keeper?" Mara asked. "It means you answered for yourself." The difference mattered. Jonah lifted his hand to the glass. Mara raised hers to meet it. For an instant, the cold instrument face warmed beneath her palm. Then the reflection held only Mara, the concrete room, and the first grey line of dawn. On the desk lay Jonah's brass watch. It was ticking. The survey crew arrived at 7:20. They found Relay 9 locked, the instrument photographs completed, and the old ledger missing from the pickup list. Mara told them the station would remain in service. When they asked under whose authority, she showed them a maintenance order dated that morning and signed by the county engineer. No one at the county remembered issuing it, but the signature was valid. The road department still employs a night courier on the bitter glass route. Travelers sometimes see her cream-colored truck near the plier, especially in wet years, especially under a high white moon. They say a copper lamp glows at Relay 9, and a woman in a canvas jacket waits beside the road. If she raises one hand, they turn back. The sensible ones do not ask why. They reach the highway before dawn, and when they look in their mirrors, they see only salt. Once every 19 years, the bell beneath bitter glass rings again. It no longer begins with a name. Mara changed the ledger. Now the first page contains a single question, written in her own narrow block letters. "Are you listening?" And beneath it, an answer waits for every traveller fortunate enough to hear the warning. Turned back, waited for dawn. Came home. This has been an original Cactus Blossom Tale. All people places, and events in this story are fictional.